Okay. Darci's Corner. It's April 12th, 2022. This is my second attempt to record this. The first one I got kind of rambly about the weather and wind power, and that's all important stuff, but not really the focus of my channel. We're still in Alberta, still a pandemic going on. And I will admit that as time goes on, I am actually pleased with the progress of my facial transitioning. I don't look the same as I did before. I notice the second chin a lot more now, but as long as it's a woman's chin, I can handle it. The voice is still a work in progress, and the facial hair, which you can still kind of see there, is very frustrating. But we've all got our challenges. It's a work in progress. It's an expensive work in progress, by the way. And Canada needs to do more to help with gender affirming treatments, because all this stuff is expensive. And to say that these things are cosmetic and dismiss it as though like we're worried about being ugly, like, it's not a vanity thing. It's not am I a pretty girl, it's am I a girl in appearance. It doesn't matter what you feel like on the inside if you can't see it on the outside. And to be dismissive of that is very, very foolish, because it affects everything. It affects how people interact with you. It affects the jobs you can get. It affects the places you can go safely. I do feel pretty safe in my community here in town. I'm very fortunate that way. But not everybody is in a community like the one I'm in. Not everybody has that option. I'm certainly scared to leave the country. There are many parts of the world where I would not go because I would not be safe. There are many other first world countries where they have protections for people like me, but people who ignore those protections, and again, I would not be safe. It's not just to say that cosmetic doesn't matter is ridiculous. I've had people, even as recently as like last week, rehash things with me like, why don't you just pretend like it's not there? Why don't you just put it away? Don't you realize that this is all just something you made up? When I was 10 years old and I decided to put this away, I remember thinking, kind of at the time, I don't know why I thought this, but I thought, you can't run away from this. You can't put this away. You can't hide from this. You need to deal with this now, because if you don't deal with this now, you're going to have to deal with it later. And later it's going to be so much harder. I remember kind of thinking something along those lines when I was 10. But the thing is, I was 10. I didn't have any resources. I didn't have any power. I didn't have really any choices. If I would have tried to explain this when I was 10 to the adults in my life, I would have been sent to therapy. I would have been sent to conversion therapy. I would have been tortured as a child. I would have been shamed. I would have been told that these thoughts were wrong. I would have been told all sorts of things that are just not true. Now, I guess we'll never know because I didn't tell anybody when I was 10. And when I was 10, I made the decision myself to put this away, to pretend this wasn't there, to just pick the male path, because that's the one that I'm supposed to be on, because that's how I was born. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I wasn't born that way. I was born trans. And that's the path I was meant to be on when I was 10. But there's no way 10-year-old me could have known that. And there's no way 10-year-old me could express that to anybody in a way that would have been effective. What I should have done at 10 years old was started to socially transition. And in around 10, maybe even 11 or 12, I should have went on puberty blockers. Now, in my particular case, 100% transition wouldn't have made me happy either. I'm gender fluid. And that means that for me, my masculine side, my feminine side, they come and they go. And they bounce back and forth. And I don't necessarily control either one. And I enjoy aspects of each one. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. And there's no way you could definitively know that when you're 10. So that's why the puberty blockers are important. And that's why you do this in stages. That's why you don't have surgeries at 10. You just don't. But you can block things at 10. You might have certain surgeries at 15 or 16. That's possible. But I can understand why you would wait. I can understand why you would want to be certain which direction you want to go and why. For some people, this is very clear cut. In fact, for the majority of the population, it's clear cut. You're a boy, you're a girl, either or, and that's what you are. And the idea of being the other is just makes your skin crawl. But for those of us on the spectrum in between, there are some who are 100% one, and there's others, like myself, who are maybe 80% or 70%. And it's not definitive. That's why you have people who detransition or detransition part way. Because they're happy sometimes in the middle. Some people want androgyny. They want to be right down the center, and they're not him and they're not her, and that's their happy place. But you know how you find out which one you are? By going through the process. By trying different clothes, trying different pronouns, trying different names. You only get there by exploring. Otherwise, you don't know. And I realize there are some who are 100% in one direction or the other. Two very public examples are Nikki Tutorials and Blair White. Now, they have two very different perspectives, and I have tremendous respect for one, and the other one, I'm not going to disparage my own kind, but I have very little respect for her. She's not a very decent person, in my opinion. But regardless of your respect for them as individuals, they both knew as small children that they were 100% trans feminine. So they were born in male bodies, but they knew that they were feminine on up here, and they wanted a feminine appearance, and they wanted to be 100% girl all the way. And they knew that from the time they were toddlers or whatever. Some of us are that way. But until you start approaching young adulthood and whatever, you can't really know if you made the right decision or not. They did. They made the right decision for them. And that's great. And they approach it in stages. So if at 15 or 16 they wanted to go back or they wanted to transition part way, they could stop. And things were not irreparably changed at that point. Things hadn't been removed. Things hadn't been added. Maybe they were on feminizing hormones at that point. But even those effects can be removed. They don't have to be permanent. So we do this in stages. I would say there's going to be a part 2 to this, and there will be. but it'll be later because I have to go do my run now. Anyway, this is Darci's Corner. I'm talking about transitioning and how we do it as children and how we become the choices we come to and how this is not a phase. This is not something made fun of. And nobody, I mean nobody, is doing this so they can be better at sports. If you happen to be trans and love sports, God bless. That's just one more trial for you to get over, and it really sucks. But there's nobody doing this so they can get an advantage in sports. And to say that is stupid, it's disingenuous, it's very dismissive of a life-altering condition. And if you're promoting that on any of your platforms, shame on you. Darci's Corner, out.